What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Cameron and this is the Sowell Garage. So in today's episode, I am going to be showing you guys what I do on the side to earn a little bit of extra cash to be able to afford and pay for our Turbo Taco build. With that being said, I'm also going to give you guys some insider tips and tricks on what you can do in order to get the absolute best results. So what we have here are some step sides for a Toyota 4Runner, and the customer dropped these off first thing this morning, and what he asked for was to coat them in Raptor liner. So the main thing in Hawaii is that a lot of people don't have space or garages, and with me having a garage, I have enough room for an air compressor. What that allows me to do is to be able to charge a reasonable price and do stuff like this, but still make enough profit that it helps me fund the Turbo Taco build. So one of the main and super important things that you guys absolutely have to do when you're doing this kind of stuff is tear everything down as much as possible. It is the exact same thing for paintwork, and it is the exact same thing for Raptor liner if you want the absolute best look and absolute best quality that you can get. So let's go ahead and take care of that. So for our beginning stages of prep work, we are done. So you might have noticed that I went ahead and drilled out the rivets that were here that were holding on the logo plate. I did that on both sides. And I went ahead and made sure that all of our bolt holes had something in it, so that way we don't get any product inside of the threads. But the reason that I did remove these is because if I were to tape them, it could leave us with some really nasty tape lines, and I don't want that. When I do something like this, I want it to look as professional as possible, and that requires removing everything. It's the same for a vehicle as it is for anything and everything else that you do. Instead of having to deal or hassle with tape and all that stuff, I just went ahead and removed it. We can rivet it back in. It's not a problem. It's not a big deal. Anyways, we're gonna have to move on to the actual prep work. And what that is going to entail is hitting all of this with 120 grit. And then any areas like these steps here that have some weird angles and stuff like that, and areas that are going to be impacted the most, that you want the absolute strongest, we're going to add some adhesion promoter to these. So let's go ahead and move on to prepping the surface on these. We are all done with the prep work, and as you can see, this is the kind of finish that we are looking for. We want it very matte. We don't want any more gloss. So what that's going to do is ensure that we have a lot of micro scratches in there so that the Raptor liner can properly adhere. Now that the sanding process is done, now we got to move on to cleaning this and cleaning it and cleaning it and cleaning it until it is as perfect as we can possibly get it. You do not want dust in this. That is going to affect your adhesion to this, so we have to make sure that this is clean. So I'm going to blow it down, wipe it down, blow it down again, and then wipe it down again. So let's clean. of our prep work is done. All of the sanding, cleaning, everything is good to go. So now we are ready to spray. And the first suggestion that I will make to you guys is wear gloves. Absolutely 110% wear gloves. You're going to get this stuff everywhere. It doesn't matter how careful you are. You can see here that I've used these gloves a few times now, and Raptor liner gets everywhere. I'm telling you that right now. So truck's all nice and covered up. Same with the hood here. Overspray gets everywhere too. It's not just like on the gun and stuff, like it's gonna get everywhere. Tip number 2 for you guys, run it at 60 PSI. That's what I do. I know the thing I think recommends anywhere from like 45 to 75. I run 60 all the time. I've had really good results with it. So 60 PSI is where you wanna set your regulator at. Tip number 3 is going to be 50-50 overlap. I know paint is going to be a little bit more like 80-20 overlap or something like that, but for this, 50-50 overlap is fine. I'll show you guys one of the tips afterwards that's going to make all of the difference and is going to make your final product come out looking better than anybody else. So let's go ahead, get everything set up, and start spraying. So we have our first coat of Raptor liner on. You guys can see it still looks wet. So we're going to give it a little bit of time to kind of dry. So this is going to be where the tip comes in that's going to help you guys get like the absolute best results that you possibly can. So right now everything is still wet. This is our first coat, right? So we're going to give it probably about 10 minutes to tack up. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to stand about 4 feet back from it, and then we're going to mist everything. And what that's going to do is eliminate any kind of tiger striping, any kind of inconsistency in your Raptor liner. And what that's going to do is give you a super, super nice sheen over everything that's going to be super even. So I'll show you guys right now. So now that we're done with our first coat and what I like to call our drop coat, I'll show you guys the difference in the texture, and I'm telling you, it's a huge difference. So you can see how it looks quite a bit more gritty now. But there's no unevenness in this at all. There's no parts of this that are drying faster or quicker than others. So it makes sure that everything looks super even, super smooth. And that is the tip that is going to make sure that your parts look the best and look better than everybody else's. So now what I gotta do is I'm gonna let this stuff dry for about 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, and then I'm gonna flip everything over and do the actual customer side of things and make it look, well, just as good as the underside here. It's gonna be instantaneous for you guys, but I gotta wait. So see you then. Well, that is going to do it for spraying. So now I need to let these guys dry. It's going to be about an hour to 2 before they're fully hardened. One of the things to keep in mind with Raptor liner is it will still remain somewhat soft for about 4 to 5 days after you spray it. After that, it is fully off gas and it's going to be at its full hardness. Take that into consideration when you're trying to install parts that you've, well, recently Raptor lined, that you may end up like messing it up a little bit, which is fine for certain bolt holes and stuff like that, but just keep it in mind. So now I've got to go to City Mill, grab the right size rivets, get those installed, let these guys dry. So I'll see you in a little bit. Well, that is going to do it for today's episode, guys. Raptor liner is by far not that hard. There's just a few tips and tricks out there that the pros know, that I know, and that I'm sharing with you guys, so that way you guys can get the absolute best results and make sure that you don't get any tiger striping or any difference in between your panels or whatever it is that you're raptor lining. So this is the end result, and I moved some other ones out there, so that way I'll give you guys some really nice shots of what they look like all said and done. But that is going to be it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if this is the kind of stuff that you want to watch, please consider subscribing and liking down below. I'll see you in the next one.